The events of December 1986, known as Zheltoksan, became a significant moment in the late Soviet history of Kazakhstan. The protest began after the removal of Nurmagomedov Konayev and the appointment of Gennady Kolbin, a leader sent from Moscow who had no prior connection to the republic. However, the main question is not only what caused the protest, but what lay at their core. Was it driven by generation dissatisfaction, a growing national consciousness, or internal party politics? To answer these questions, this research examines Zheltoksan through three perspectives: generational conflict, a national agenda, and inter-party political control.
Statement 1. Zheltoksan, December 1986. What lay at the core of the process? The protests were initiated primarily by young people, especially students. According to Human Rights Watch, most participants were Kazakh youth who felt politically marginalized and excluded from decision-making. This generational group was more willing to openly challenge Soviet authorities than older party elites. At the same time, the protest reflected a national agenda. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty notes that the appointment of Gennady Kolbin, who had no prior connection to Kazakhstan, was seen as a denial of national dignity and local representation. The protesters did not demand independence, they expressed dissatisfaction with the unequal position of Kazakhstan within the Soviet system. Some Soviet officials described the event as hooliganism, but later scholarly research challenges this view. Scholars emphasize that Zheltoksan was not an organized nationalist movement but a spontaneous chaos protest shaped by accumulated national grievances. Studies of Soviet nationality policy shows that the mid-1980s youth is not rational republic, increasingly questioning cultural and political inequality. Zheltoksan was the first moment this tension surfaced openly in Kazakhstan. Moscow's decision was the trigger, but the cause was generational and national frustration.
The Zheltoksan protests of December 1986 were mainly caused by national agenda. Appointment of Gennady Kolbin. The main trigger of protest was the appointment of Gennady Kolbin as the first secretary of the Communist Party of the Kazakhstan. Kolbin was sent from Moscow and had no political or social ties to Kazakhstan. At the same time, the previous leader, Nurmagomedov Konayev, was an ethnic Kazakh and represented the local population. Many people, especially young Kazakhs, saw these decisions as unfair. They believed that Kazakhstan should be led by someone who understood its people and culture. This reaction shows that the protests were connected to national representation, not personal interests. National slogan of the protesters. During the protests, participants used clear national slogans such as "Each nation should have its own leader" and "We need a leader from Kazakhstan." The slogans do not speak about money or living conditions. Instead, they express national ideas and demand for respect toward the Kazakh people. This proved that protesters were motivated by a national agenda, not by random justification. Court documents and official reaction. After the protest, Soviet court accused several student leaders of spreading nationalist propaganda. This information is found in court verdict and official documents from 1987. These documents are important primary sources because they showed how authorities understood the events. The government reacted strongly because it saw the protest as a national challenge, not just student disorder. This confirmed that the national aspect was central to Zheltoksan. The protest became an important moment in the development of national consequences in Kazakhstan and showed the desire for political respect and self-representation.
Our source statement is that Zheltoksan can be explained as an intra-party struggle for political control in Kazakhstan. First, the personal decision itself triggered the unrest. On 16 December 1986, the Communist Party removed Nurmagomedov Konayev and appointed Gennady Kolbin, an outsider with no priorities to Kazakhstan, to lead the republic. This shows that central party control from Moscow determined leadership, not local political consent. Second, the Soviet official narrative depoliticized the events. In Western reporting on task statements, demonstrators were described as hooligans and antisocial elements, stripping the protests of political meaning and framing them as disorder rather than political resistance.
Towards the response flowed classic party control tactics, mass detentions, exports for universities, and punitive measures aimed at restoring order and after. Official reports later reported thousands detained and many expelled. Therefore, Zheltoksan was not only national or generational protest. It was when an inter-party power shift became visible in the streets, and the Soviet system reacted to resent irrational political control.
Each perspective explains an important aspect of the events. The generational factor helps explain the character of the protest. Most participants were young people, especially students, who were more willing to openly express dissatisfaction and less connected to Soviet political structures. This contributed to the spontaneity and emotional intensity of the demonstrations. The national perspective focuses on the symbolic meaning of Kolbin's appointment. The decision was seen as a lack of respect for local representation. Even without demands for independence, the protests reflected a growing sense of national dignity and the desire for a political voice. At the same time, the intra-party perspective explains the political context. The change of leadership reflected Moscow's centralized personal control, and the harsh response showed the priority of maintaining party authority and stability. In conclusion, Zheltoksan cannot be explained by a single cause. The events emerged from the interaction of generational frustration, national concerns, and centralized political control. Zheltoksan became a moment when deeper social and political tensions became visible and revealed the growing gap between the Republic and the Central Soviet authorities. For this reason, the events of December 1986 can be seen as an early signal of the broader changes that followed in the final years of the Soviet Union.